It hurts me to leave here. I built everything here, to stay here, to live out my life here, the next 20 years until I die. And I'm not gonna be able to do it. It pisses me off.
So this is Mar-a-Lago, one of Trump's residences. This will be something you can go snorkel on.
It'll be a former president's mansion in Atlantis.
Having to move away from where all my family lived is kind of hard, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Government is not going to help. They're going to keep debating. For us, the debate about climate change was over a long time ago. And maybe there was never even a debate.
Got you this time.
You got one?
Yeah, they're little though. Right there, that's the spot.
Hey!
A little bigger.
What do you got?
Another sea trout. Look at that.
Yeah.
Now they get this big, so
Right.
these are
You got
little
a
babies.
baby.
Be free.
So how long have you been fishing in these waters?
Well, I grew up here. I got my first boat when I was 10 years old. So I'm 67 now. Long time. Long enough to see changes.
And when did you first notice that things were starting to change?
Really in the middle 70s when I saw barnacles going up seawalls and pilings, because they don't grow where there's no water. And then 15 years ago, it started to flood. And it wasn't very often, but then it was more and more and more. And now it's flooding all the time.
Do you think you and the people in your community will be climate change refugees?
Oh, absolutely. If the water comes up, where do you go? Unless we want to live on a raft or something. I don't think so. Everybody's going to have to move.
And by everybody?
No, it's not a small amount of people. It could be millions.
Because Captain Dan doesn't exactly live in a small fishing village. He lives in one of the biggest cities in America, Miami.
That's an original seawall. It's 80 years old.
And you're saying that the water would have been
A little less than
lower
a meter,
than that?
lower than that
On a day like
high
this?
tide.
At high tide?
At high tide.
Why do you think people are still building here?
They're in denial. All these people are in denial. You would think people that have this much money, that are so rich, would understand what's happening with climate change in Miami Beach. They don't. They don't care, I guess. Nice houses, huh?
Dan also has a nice house here, but he thinks the warning signs are overwhelming and he's doing something about it.
I never thought I'd have to leave here. It's a great house.
So what's happening with it?
Well, sea level rise is happening with it, and I don't want to go through the issues that we have on Miami Beach, so it's for sale.
You're selling the house that you built
Right.
to move out of here because you're worried about climate change.
I'm worried about climate change. I'm worried about the sea level coming up and me having a life that I don't like. So I'm going to sell the house. Let's go. You'll see what I'm leaving.
Thank you.
I have people telling me it's a bit of a drastic move. In my mind, it's not. I'm being timely about this, where I have time to actually get out and still be able to afford to go somewhere else and do something else. And this was my office. It's all bare walls right now, but it used to be covered with world records, mounted fish, trophies from fishing tournaments. My whole life was in this room. It's all in boxes in storage now. It hurts me to leave here. I built everything here, to stay here, to live out my life here, the next 20 years until I die. And I'm not going to be able to do it. And it pisses me off. I'm not a happy camper.
For Dan, climate change is a pressing issue. But right now, it's not for President Trump. And Trump's not alone. The Governor of Florida, Rick Scott, refuses to comment on the issue and has reportedly banned parts of his office from using the terms climate change or global warming in official correspondence. Governor Scott declined to speak to Dateline for this story. A study published last year found that Florida has more people vulnerable to climate change than any other US state. But still, some locals are sceptical.
I'm not sold on climate change. I think there's always going to be big storms. I'm not ready to say it's because of climate change or global warming or anything that we're doing particularly.
I do believe that climate change is just a phase that the Earth goes through to cleanse itself.
Up until it's proven, I think it's more like a natural thing.
I don't really care about climate change.
Harold, good to meet you.
Jen, it's a pleasure.
Let's take a tour of Miami.
How about it?
University of Miami professor Harold Weinlass has been tracking the tides here for decades.
How long have you been trying to warn people about the rising sea levels in Miami?
My first talk was I know I gave one in 81, so.
In 1981?
Yes.
In the last decade alone, flooding in Miami Beach has increased by 400%. The city has spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to stem the problem.
This road's been raised about 2 feet. You can see, I can go down here. And this would be the sidewalk level of the old place, okay? And so they've raised it up where you are.
And is this enough of a raise, do you think, to stem the water?
Well, we're gonna have another 2 feet of rise according to the US government projections, probably by 2048, maybe earlier.
So they're going to have to raise this again?
And again and again, and it's gonna get faster and faster.
These predictions from Florida International University show what Miami will look like over the next few decades. In 150 years, only 3% of its land, according to the study, will remain. Predicting sea level rise is still an active area of research, meaning some scientists would argue that it may not rise this quickly or by this much. But Professor Weinlass says even with conservative estimates, the future for Miami doesn't look good.
Do you think this city as we know it will be here in 100 years?
It won't be here in 100 years. It'll either be a few stragglers trying to hang on to a city that has no infrastructure, no fresh water, no sewage facility, or it'll be abandoned completely. Well, here we are. There's one more property we should probably look at here.
All right.
Quite vulnerable. So this is Palm Beach, and this is Mar-a-Lago, one of Trump's residences.
It's President Trump's pride and joy. The sprawling estate of Mar-a-Lago has become a de facto White House.
So will this place exist as we know it in 100 years?
If I'm right, this will be something you can go snorkel on. It'll be quite famous. It'll be a former president's mansion.
It'll be a former president's mansion in Atlantis.
In Atlantis, right. This will no longer be Palm Beach. This will be Atlantis too. This will be a very popular dive site.
Trump has called climate change bullshit, a myth, a very expensive hoax. He's pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement and he's cut funding to the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. Trump's environment spokesperson did not respond to requests by Dateline to take part in this story. Yet it's Trump's presidency that will oversee the relocation of America's first ever climate change refugees. It's an autumn afternoon in Louisiana.
Hey, look, you got a friend. You didn't think you were going to have a friend. How are you?
We're at my grandma and grandpa's house on the island of Jean Charles. We're all down here celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary.
Your grandparents have been here all their lives, right?
All their lives. They're 90 and 91.
Hello.
So this is my grandpa, Lynn.
Hello.
And that's Mama Nina, Denisha.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
This is one of the last family milestones the Billiots will celebrate here.
Happy anniversary!
The Billiots have a house in Louisiana's Ile de Jean Charles that, for 7 decades, has been a home for their sprawling family.
I'm not touching the fish.
Well, you don't need to touch it. You let him touch it.
But after years of watching the land around them disappear, they've had to turn to the US government for help. Last year, the Obama administration granted them $48 million. It was the first time federal tax money had been granted to move an entire community reeling from the effects of climate change. That's why the residents of Ile de Jean Charles were dubbed America's first climate change refugees.
Of course, nobody wants to leave, but I think they understand that for safety, it's for their safety.
Hey, Tommy, I might have to borrow these and bring them back.
That's Chuan. There's Margaret.
This island is about to stop being home to the Biliots. They are Biloxi Chitimachi Choctaw Indians whose ancestors moved here in the 1830s after being forced from their lands.
Look at Tanoya.
See what they were doing, huh? Eating the rest of the spaghetti with that spoon.
For 200 years, the Biliots have lived, loved and died here.
Yeah, because no, oops. Yeah, I was born in '53. That's the old one right there.
When I was a kid, I used to go walk over there. They have the marshland.
So it was
So
marshland.
you can walk over there on that. It was hard. But now,
It's just water.
nothing but water
Yeah.
on both sides of the island.
Ile de Jean Charles is sinking. Since 1955, the island has lost more than 98% of its land. What you're seeing is the 2% that's left. And as the land disappeared, so too did the people.
So there were about 150 families here when you were growing
When I
up,
was growing up, yeah,
and now there's like
25.
Boyo, Wen's son, left the island in the 1980s.
this place right here was where your house used to be.
Yeah, we had we cut from right there to by that tree over there, with that other tree.
And what happened in '85?
And the hurricane took it, Hurricane Juan. Because we had got flooded twice in the same year, in August, and then we had just finished fixing up the whole house. And then in October, that's when Hurricane Juan hit us. I said, that's enough.
Yeah, final straw.
Final straw, we ain't spending no more money for nothing.
Just down the road from the Biliots lives Chris Brunet. For years, his family has resisted leaving the island.
We go back over here on Ile de Jean Charles about 7 or 8 generations.
Because your parents left you this house. Do you feel on some level that you would also like to leave something there that you can pass down to future generations?
Yeah, I have my niece and nephew that live with me over here, and so whatever's over here, it would be theirs. But then by the time they would be my age, that's a great uncertainty. You know, I could say 10 years down the road, Ile de Jean Charles will still be here. But then another 40 years after that.
For Chris, leaving is less about his family's history and more about his family's future.
Looking at the difference now, you see all them trees and you don't see them anymore.
Oh, it was so much prettier here.
Chris's niece Juliet will be the last of the Brunets to grow up on the island.
If we stay here, then maybe his generation will be okay for it, but not for like me and my brother. For me and my brother, it'll probably, land will be gone. Because looking at pictures here, you can see how much land they had before, and now they barely have any. It's kind of sad because, you know, like my whole family lived here, and like having to move away from where like all my family lived is kind of hard, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
And so how far is this location from the island?
Probably about 35, 40 miles, I guess, give or take.
Albert Naquin is the chief of Ile de Jean Charles. He's in charge of the relocation project.
So what are we looking at here?
We're looking at the new site for our new community.
And what kind of things were you looking for in a new property?
The highest piece of property that we could find in Terrebonne Parish. So this here is out of the flood zone, so That's what we're looking for.
And how big is it all up?
It's probably right there around 500 acres.
What you're seeing here is precious in Louisiana. On average, the state loses a football field of land every hour. Decades of dredging, man-made levees and naturally occurring storms are eroding the state's coastline. Scientists say this is exacerbated by rising sea levels caused by man-made climate change. But a recent Yale University study found that in this part of Louisiana, almost 40% of people don't believe that to be true.
What do you think is causing all of the problems that you're facing with the environment on the island?
It's washing away.
Do you believe it has anything to do with climate change or with global warming and warming sea levels?
Sort of, yeah, but not completely. I mean, climate change is here, but I don't believe that the island was affected that much by climate change as we know it today.
But many people would point to you guys and say that you're ground zero of climate change.
Well, we are, well, maybe we are, but I don't know if we really are. We see the changes as man-made and Mother Nature together that rooted up all the land around us, okay?
Do you think if Donald Trump was to visit, do you think that he would come around?
I think he would. I think his heart's at the right place. It's just that he's hard-headed like I am. In other words, it's hard to kind of make changes in what you see until you actually see it.
If seeing is believing, then President Trump should visit Kivalina, Alaska. 130 kilometres above the Arctic Circle, Kivalina is in a region that is warming twice as fast as anywhere else on Earth. Like Ile de Jean Charles, Kivalina is predicted to soon be inundated by water.
Please remain seated until the captain or Hadron Aviation ground crew opens the rear air stair door. Thank you for flying Hadron Aviation and have a nice day.
Unlike the people of that island, the people here are stuck. For decades, the local Inupiat people have been pleading for help to move their community.
Hi, welcome to Kivalina.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Jan.
I'm Alexis.
The year Alexis Hawley was born, 1992, was the first time Kivalina voted to relocate.
This is your home, eh?
Yeah.
She's now 25 years old, and the village is still here.
It's a race against time, race against the ice melting. So there's no telling how fast it'll go away anymore, how long it'll stay.
Have things gotten worse here in your lifetime?
The most reliable animal that we rely on for food is the seal, ugu, and we haven't been getting much of that over the last few years due to the ice going away quicker than usual.
Are you worried about that?
Yeah, I'm worried about it because I can't go without eating seal oil. I was raised on it. We can't buy it at stores, you know, it's not sold in stores. We make it, we gotta make it.
Thank you. Right. We're at the Kivalina Native Store where we shop for groceries, where we get all our fresh produce like potatoes and fruit.
Where does all this stuff get brought up from?
From Seattle. This is the only fresh produce we get. We mainly buy like side dishes like rice and mashed potatoes, and then because the meat is so expensive, we'd rather hunt for our own meat.
Right. And if climate affects hunting and fishing and you don't hunt as much and you don't fish as much, but you can't afford to come to a place like this, what happens?
We'll starve.
Kivalina prides itself on being a self-sufficient community, but it's been feeling the effects of shorter hunting seasons for almost 2 decades. It's becoming increasingly reliant on food flown in from outside.
Things started to become chaotic because the ice was not forming, and we need the ice in order to hunt. It's during the winter, the ice becomes part of our landscape, and we set up camps out there, we go whaling, seal hunting, but in early 2000s beginning, we noticed that the ice was just wasn't forming to the thickness that it once did.
Colleen Swan is a Kivalina elder. For years, she's been fighting to relocate her community.
Where do you see Kivalina in 20 years, ideally for you?
On higher ground.
So not in this location at the moment?
No, this is not a good place to be. It's never been a good place to be. Our elders knew that from the beginning. This was just a seasonal hunting ground for them.
That was until 1905, when the US government built a school on the island and forced the community here permanently.
They were forced to bring their children to school. So if they didn't, they would either be fined or imprisoned. It was an invasion. It was an invasion by the government.
Now the same government that forced Kivalina's people here won't help them leave. Kivalina, like Ile de Jean Charles, is sinking. But this island has been given no federal funding to relocate.
How confident are you that the government is going to come to your aid?
I'm not confident at all, because nothing is more important than their bottom line. So we get kind of pushed aside. Our issues get pushed aside.
Are you less hopeful now that Trump is the president?
He's already taking actions to take funding away from what existed before from previous presidents.
For Washington, the Arctic has long been out of sight, out of mind. A US government report from back in 2003 warned 180 native Alaskan villages were also at risk of flooding and erosion due in part to rising temperatures. But in 2017, it's not just remote villages like Kivalina struggling with the impacts of climate change, making it harder and harder for governments to ignore.
Our only hope for a better life in the near future is to rely on the private sector. Government is not going to help. They're going to keep debating. For us, the debate about climate change was over a long time ago. Maybe there was never even a debate. When you live with the reality of things, there's no debate. There really isn't.
Colleen Swan may very well live out her lifetime on the island. But the majority of Kivalina's residents almost certainly won't. That's because of the 400 people who live here, half are under the age of 18.
From year to year, something different happens. Every time I think that we've experienced just about all the changes that will happen, something different happens the next year.
What 2018 holds for Kivalina, Ile de Jean Charles and Miami is uncertain. What is certain is that climate change is not a top priority for the Trump administration, despite the small but growing number of Americans dealing with a rapidly changing environment. And the fallout could likely turn what President Trump believes to be a very expensive hoax into an even more expensive reality.